Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today.
Have you ever looked at old catalogues and wondered, what am I going to do with this now I've got the new one? Because if you look at the quality of some of these catalogues, they're absolutely beautiful. The pages, all that paper is such good quality. And if you flip through, there's some amazing pictures in there. Well, today I'm taking an even older catalogue, this one, and what I started doing is I started ripping out some of the pages. So as you can see here, I've got quite a lot torn out already, which have just beautiful pictures on them or beautiful colours on them. Look at the colours, and sometimes both sides. And what a pity to let them go to waste. So I can think of scrapbooking, card making, art journaling, Bible journaling, multimedia, collage. So many places you could use these magazines or magazine pages and catalogue pages. Some old magazines are absolutely beautiful too. And some magazines are good for just sticking other stuff on top of, but you've got a good quality book. So I've started ripping those pages out of this book, and what I'm going to do is I've got this old 2017 Collins diary. Now the old book, it's quite solid and sturdy, and look, it's all nicely bound and everything, and the pages in here are not bad quality either. So what I've decided to do, now I can easily pull out pages if I make the book too thick. So as I start putting this book together, once it starts to get a bit bulky, I'm going to start pulling a few pages out so that it's less bulky, and I can do that because of the spine that it's got in it. But what I thought I might do is start covering these pages with bits and pieces, because obviously 2017 I don't need it anymore. So let's see what we can come up with now that I've got this good basic structure to work with and all these pretty bits and pieces out of the book. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what other paper I've got out in the shed, or my shed. I'm going to look at rice paper, mulberry paper, napkins, pages out of books, music paper, scrapbooking paper, all sorts of papers that I can use, as well as these lovely coloured pictures and coloured pages out of this old catalogue, to see what I can come up with here. So I'm just going to continue to cut, and what I'm doing first up is I've got my trusty little guillotine from Crafter's Companion. I love this guillotine because it'll take A4 pages through this way. So then what I can do is then just cut what I want out, and like some of these headings I'm going to use also. I'm keeping those as well. So I'm not discounting anything. I've got some which has got you know, Happy Christmas or something, and just a few other headings from the top of the page that would be useful also. I'm wasting as little as I can. And even some of the pieces I cut off, I'm not throwing them all out just yet. I'm going to see whether any of them would be useful. Now, they've got these nice tags. I'll just see what's on the other side. Oh, he's beautiful. They're nice. I don't need there's plenty of tags, so I'm going to cut this little fella out because I like him. That's crooked. I want it straight. I don't have to have everything straight, but some of them I've made straight, some of them I've left at an angle. Some of the bits I've cut out. Now, I've lost their heads, so we don't need those bits. But the farm animal theme is nice. And I'm thinking along the lines of giving this book to one of my grandchildren as a, you know, something that they can add extra things to, but there will be bits like this which they can colour in and decorate further with. So let's just see what we can come up with. And I'll just show you some of the things that I've cut out already, and then I'll go off and finish cutting and then come back. So these are just some of the things I've managed to cut out of this book already. Now, why would you throw those in the bin? Oh, there we are. Christmas morning. Just beautiful little pictures. There's a tag I've done already. And I'm thinking I might punch a hole in that and put some ribbon actually through it. Stick it on a piece of cardboard. And look, that's not square, but it's pretty, so I'm using it. They're just some of the things I've got out of this catalogue so far. So I'm going to go off and cut some more, and then I'll come back to you and show you what I have. Now that I've cut up all the papers, I need to strengthen the pages in this book. And so some of the blank ones I've torn out so that I can re-stick in later. And what I'm now doing is going through the book and gluing pages together so that they're a bit stronger, because this is quite thin. Easy to tear out. So rather than have it that thin, what I'm going to do is I've actually watered down. I had a little bit of Mod Podge left in the bottom of this, and it was quite thick. And it's the glossy one, which tends to be a bit, oh, I don't know, I think it's a little bit stronger. I don't know why. But anyway, I could be wrong. But what I'm going to do now is put it on and spread it out with an old credit card, an old bank card that no longer is, it's out of date. So I'm just spreading it out so that I've got a thin coating all over that page. And then what I do is this is the page I'm sticking it to, and I lift this up, make sure it's cleared all of that there, and make sure this corner goes down first, right on top of that corner, and then I just spread it out like that, and I give it a good press down on both sides. So I press it down on this side, and then I'll press it down on this side as well. And if I think there's any then I also check the edges. Now see, with this one, there's a gap there where there's no glue. So I just go in with the brush and do that. And I think I noticed that the top was a bit, no, not very, but a little bit gappy. The corner there, Didn't quite get it. And that little bit there. I'll just come back and make sure that I've got it all stuck down properly, and then I go on to the next one. So I'm just going to keep doing that for a little while, and then I'll show you the next step. Now the other thing I do every now and then is I separate the pages I've already glued, just to make sure that there's no glue coming out and sticking those pages together. See, there's a little bit there, so separate it. Because I could be waiting for days if I just waited for each page to dry before I stuck the next one. So I didn't stick this one because it was quite thick cardboard, so I just left that. Okay. Now that I've got halfway through the book, and it's a bit thick through here, and it's lower down there, what I'm doing is I'm turning the book around so that when I bring this over, it hasn't got all that thickness to contend with these with the spine. So it's easier to fold over. So I just bring this one back. Put glue all over it. Step 3 in this book is to add colour onto the pages, and the way I've chosen to add colour to the pages is to add different sorts of papers. So I've chosen these napkins. And then I have rice paper. And then I have other types of papers, both handmade papers with textured bits, and then mulberry papers as well. There's some more of the textured papers. This is mulberry paper. And then also I have just cardstock. This is black and white cardstock. I've used that quite a lot. And then just little cardstock scraps of colour. I've got a couple of pre-cut ones of these in the craft, and then bits of scrapbooking paper. Okay, so they're the types of papers I'm going to use to decorate this book now. Now, the papers that are thin, like your rice paper and your napkins and your mulberry paper, I'm just gluing on with thin down Mod Podge and a paintbrush. The papers that are a bit stiffer and thicker, now some of these I've glued down with Mod Podge as well, but some of them that are a bit stiffer and thicker, like these cards stock for instance, that are going to cover the whole page, I've actually used tape instead, double-sided tape instead, to stick those down. So you've got a couple of options there. I just felt that these would stay flatter with the glue, with the tape, than they would with the glue. So just have a watch as to, and I'll just flip through quickly showing you some of the pages I've decorated. And what I've done is some of them have been put on cut beautifully, and others have just been ripped and torn and put on as scraps in different sections. Some I found pre-cut scraps that I've put on too. So just have a watch and see how I've completely covered these pages, and that's also made them stronger. Now on some of these pages I'd like them as writing pages or pages that are blank. And so I've just got some cardstock here, A5, and I'm just going to tape that straight into the book. And I'm using a tape that's got a little bit extra strength. It's a bit stronger than your standard tape. We call it red tape here in Logan City, but there's an actual tape that's red and it's much stronger than this one. But this is much stronger than a lot of the other tapes. I'm not sure who puts it out. Stylus Tapes, by the look of it. Stylus Tapes. And I'll put a double layer here because I know I'm going to cut the edge off and I don't want it to cut all the sticky off. Another way to glue this, I just thought I'd show you this, instead of putting the tape on here, is you could always put the tape actually on the book. This page was in the book and it said notes, and there's a lot of writing on the back, and I'm just I think I'll just stick it over the top of one of these pages and leave it as a page for notes. I'll have to find one that's got a right hand side. That I might stick it over that because there's no writing on that. I might stick it straight over that, and I'll just use tape. I'll cut these off so that they don't go into between the prongs and become a nuisance. I'll cut it a little bit shorter so it doesn't quite reach the prongs. And I'm just going to tape this on again too with my tape. I'll put the tape on this page. I'll be back once I've done it. Now I have that on there, but after sticking it on I realised if I have to cut any more off I might lose the word notes, but that's no biggie, I can always add it later. So that's on. Let's see what else we can put into this book. I might put another white page beside this one here. I've decided also I'll put in some craft coloured paper and some black paper just to give the kids an option of other colours to do their artwork on. So I'll just pop a couple of those in the book, not as many as the white, but just a couple, just to give them something different. Just as part of the page decoration, rather than throw these bits I've cut off in the bin or in the scrap bin, I've decided I'm going to glue them to the page. And I have put tape just up the middle so there's a bit of room to stick things underneath if I want to. And I'm going to show you something. See this little pointy tool here? It's got a sharp point on it. The easiest way to get this tape up is to just worry this with the point on the side, and it just lifts it for you. And there we are, quite easy to do. So I'm now going to stick these on. One on there, and this one on the other side. Yep, that one's a bit short, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't know what I'm going to do, but that's a little bit more interesting than just the blank pages. I'll keep going. Now, I found some little napkins that I thought would be nice in this book because it is for a child. And I thought I might add them to the pages we haven't used yet, because napkins are very thin. They're not going to add much more bulk to this book. And, you know, let's face it, that's really bulky. So, but I don't want them to see all this writing through the page. So, what I'm thinking of doing is painting the pages white first, and so that the napkin shows through as solid colour. If you have a look at some of these other, see that napkin's quite a dark napkin, although you can see Saturday through there, you can't see any of the writing through there. This one is very busy, so even though there's a little bit of writing underneath, it just shows through as decoration, which that's fine by me. No, I don't mind it looking like decoration. But there's a lot of white in these, so you're actually going to be able to read what's underneath in some detail, and I don't really want that to happen. That's not the aim of the exercise. The aim of the exercise is to make it look decorative, but not as an exercise in reading that Peter went to the vet, which is what's happened there. Now, I'm going to add decoration to that page, so I've only got to cover that one little thing. But if I'm doing a whole page full of writing, I don't want to have to cover a big percentage of the napkin in order to hide the writing underneath. Now, like, that's fine. I don't mind that. But, yes, some of this stuff is just old news that really doesn't need to be added to the book. So I'll be back with some paint. Now I'm back with a bit of white Delusions white linen, and I'm just going to give it a quick going over the writing just to dull it down a bit so it's not going to show up so much. As you can see there, it's only semi-covered it, and even though I've put 5 or 6 different layers on, it hasn't completely covered it. So I'll come back to that later, but I might go to another page and let's just see. I'm going to use Joe's Sonia titanium white this time and see whether that's more opaque. And every paint has their every paint has its specific jobs, and it doesn't look like Delusion's job is to cover up black, and that's fine because I've used it for other things and it's been brilliant. So I'm not knocking the paint, I'm saying I used the wrong paint for this job. Quite often you'll find, I quite often see people asking, oh, I'm doing scrapbooking or I'm doing card making, what's the best glue to use? And my answer to that is, what job do you want to do? And the same goes for paint. What job do you actually want to do? So my knowledge of glue is probably a bit better than my knowledge of paint, but I want to cover up this black on here, and I want to cover it completely. So let's see what a couple of coats of this white will do. And then I have a third one to try if this doesn't do it to my satisfaction. You know, that transparent look there might be all you want, and therefore this one does the job, as long as it doesn't dry with it showing through more. Let's see what happens. It is lighter, but it's still showing through. So let's see what happens now. And this is a flow formula, so it is a bit of a runny consistency. Let's learn something about paint while we're doing this, hey? So I save you the heartache. Oh, look what I've done. Oh, let's put some paw prints on there. Hand prints, fingerprints. Let's make it part of the design. No mistake is ever a mistake. It's just an opportunity to do something else with the page. There we are. I think that's light enough to go under the napkins. Okay, so let's see. Now I've got another paint here which is called Matisse Structure Formula. Now structure is really thick, so we might be able to just do only one coat. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. Let's first, this is a brand new thing, I haven't even opened it yet, so there we are. Where's my little rag to wipe things with? Now see how thick that is? That might be the best paint for the job. Maybe I should have brought it in first. Let's go. Yeah, look at that coverage. That looks like it might hold with just one coat. We'll see. See, I couldn't get this to go on that thick. So, although I bought this because I was desperate for some white, and I bought a few tubes because I had a big class on, and I didn't get to use that one. I bought it out of protest because I really wanted the flow formula, because the job they needed to do on the day was to have a more watered down paint, and this texture meant they had to water down their paint a bit in order to get the consistency they needed for the job. So I'm just going to put that there because I don't really want you reading all this. Now this is acrylic paint, so there's no reason why, if you wanted a middle consistency, you couldn't mix the flow and the texture together to get it runnier rather than just adding water. Now let's see what happens when I dry this. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go and do the rest of the pages, and I'll probably mix this flow formula in with that just so it doesn't go to waste, and keep going. I'm now ready to start adding the napkins, and I love this little owl one. Now it didn't quite reach to the top of the page, so what I did is I just put that down, and then I placed this paper on the page just at the edge of where the owl paper stops. And then once I've stuck the owl on, these borders were on the owl paper, I'm going to put one of those top and bottom of this so that I can put a little bit of writing in there. And I'm going to cut off that excess after I've added the paper. as you can see here, when I close the book, and I've already started cutting them, but some of the pages are sticking out. As this book gets thicker and bulkier, the pages start to move forward here and stick out at the end there, and I don't want them sticking out. I'd want them within the cover of the book. So what I'm going to do is, for instance, you can actually take this out. There's a flap there, and this cardboard sticks in there that keeps that inside the book. So I can actually take that out, and I can open it out to the page I want to cut, like that, and use my trusty little guillotine. And I've worked out I want it 13.5 centimeters from the edge of those there, from where the cut edge is there to here. I want it 13.5 centimeters wide. So I just stick it in here and line it up. Make sure that is sitting dead straight along that edge so that I get a good cut there. It looks like I've already cut that one, so let's go to the next one. Sorry guys. Here we are. Put it along there. 13.5 is there. Just slice it off. So I can do that with those that are not painted over, or as you've seen here before, I've done it with those that are. That still looks like it's sticking out further, so I might have to cut them down to 13. I'm going to start doing, I'll just show you the book first. I've got this much done so far, so I've got all the pages covered in something. Now, either rice paper or scrapbooking paper or plain cardstock or napkins or mulberry paper or rice paper. But something is covering, no, that's fine. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling through the book. So I'm going to stencil with black archival ink because that doesn't bleed or smudge when you go over it with something else. I've got a little dauber and I've got a couple of sponges in different sizes, so that depending on what I'm stenciling will depend on what size sponge I need to use. And I'm going to put this fern in this corner to start with. And I'm just going to blend this on here so it blends right in. And then, yep. All right, that's too stiff. Now this is a very textured paper. This is a mulberry paper. It's got a lot of texture on it, so it'll be interesting to see what this looks like when I've done it. I'm not sure how it will look. But certainly the softer sponge is working better. I'm getting through the layers there. Let's see what this looks like. Yep. Now this is my plan for the first page, and it says always be yourself, escape the ordinary, dare to be different, and stand out from the crowd. And I'm going to leave these in here for my granddaughter to colour in. So I'm not going to colour these, I'm just going to leave them in there as they are. And so I'm just going to stick these in now. All this writing and those little figures were from the catalogue, and so was this little tag, but there's writing on it. So I've just covered it up with another little tag, and then I've put this writing on top of that colour so that it stands out from the background there. And I've got a little bit of ribbon that I'm going to put a hole punch in that and put that on as well. So I'll just go ahead and do that now. Now this is page 2, and this little picture, I actually have an app on my phone, and it converts photographs into pictures, and then I just print them out. So this is actually taken from a photograph, and then I've printed it out. So this is the young lady that's getting the book. And so that's page 2. I'm going to cut this little girl out and have her swinging from the top there, and it says how I spent the holidays. So here's somewhere where she can write that in, and we'll just cut this out now and stick it on. And when I cut, I'm going to leave a little bit of white so that I'm not having to cut perfectly. I just leave a little white out from the edges all the way around, and that'll help it to yeah, look a bit more interesting and different. I completed all the edging around the pages, and I did that along that side as well. It was quite simple. I just turned this on the edge and just used the edge of it only in order to do those sides, just in there and in there. So the whole book now is done with the corners, and then the next thing I've done is I've gone and got a black pen or a white pen. Now that's a permanent black marker, but you could also use a fine line in a paint pen, and I've got both black and white here. And so what I would do, for instance, on this page would be I would maybe put a dotted line around this to make it stand out as the most important. I want the words to stand out a little bit more than everything else. And so I went through the book and I put in a few dotted lines. The other thing I did is I did some outlines on some things too. I went round the edges of things. I made it stand out a bit that way. Now this one hasn't got an edge, but there's no reason why I couldn't draw my own dotted line in and make it important that way. Okay, and then it just gives a bit of contrast on the page as well. Now the other thing I did is on this page I added some extra lines onto this pattern, and I think if you're a doodly, there's a lot you could do with this. You could keep fiddling there. I've dotted around the edge of that little picture there. I've drawn along, I put 2 lines along the edge of that writing there, and I've gone around the edge of that bird and the butterfly with a just little black line. I did the dotted line around there, but I didn't particularly like it, so I didn't bother doing it around the bird. I've done a dotted line around the edge of this here, and 2 wiggly lines across the edge of that there. And I'll just show you this as I go through. I haven't done anything to some of these. There's some dotted lines there. There's a straight line there instead of a dotted line around the edge of that, and I've gone around the edge of the writing there, tweet tweet, to make it stand out more. I've gone around the edge of the girl and the edge of this here with a dotted line. I've gone around the edge of the girl in black on the white and in white on the black. And then I've done a dotted line around that. There I've done some white dotted lines and some white lines in this pattern here. And that's probably what you could do on that other page too. Remember, this was all smudged and there was a couple of smudges there. Well, I turned those smudges into birds and added a couple more. And I turned these smudges into flowers and leaves and stems. I haven't put anything around her, but I have put a little bit around there. And, you know, it doesn't always have to be dotted and straight lines. You might decide that for this one you want to put some wiggly lines down the page. Might not want to put anything down the page, but I want to put something on there. Don't need a to be able to draw to do this, and you don't need a steady hand to do this, as you can see. In fact, a shaky hand would probably be better for this one. If you can't do straight lines, use a ruler. If you can't do straight lines, do a wiggly line. There's no so see how that just frames the page and makes it a little bit more interesting. And as you can see, I've only, as I did with the others, I've only put the black line where it's not covered by a picture. So this one has got a lot more of the black wiggly lines than the others have, because there's been more of a picture either end. And with Santa, I put a dotted line around the writing and around the edge as a frame. But you could do any pattern frame on it that you wanted. Now, I didn't want to get rid of this cover because it's vinyl and it's in quite good nick. It's got a couple of little marks and that on it. It's also got a nice little pocket here on the inside, but it does have writing there, and so I need to cover up the writing and make I need to cover up the writing and make the cover a little bit more interesting. And I had these out in the shed, my craft shed that is, and these are probably, oh no, 10 years old or more. I have stuff from, you know how you build up stuff. Well, I'm now starting to do a few crafts to get rid of my excess. Some of it I'll give away, some of it I'll maybe sell, but a lot of it I'd like to be able to actually use. And so this is what I'm doing with these, if they come out. And they're stickers, quite nice stickers actually. And so what I might do is just have that go around there like that. Okay, make sure one of these stickers actually covers the writing that I don't want to see, and there's writing there, and there's more writing there. And then put a few odd ones, just scatter some odd ones in different places. Maybe in places where there's something you want to cover up, like some marks. Alright, so that's covered there. I might put another one little one in the middle here too. Now you might have to come back with a better glue or something if they're not sticking properly, because this is after all on vinyl, as I said, so it might cause a couple of issues. So there's one packet gone. Yoo-hoo! Bit more stuff out of my shed. I think you can all understand that feeling. And oh, let's put a couple of these little ones. I might put a little one in there, and another one. Oh, there's a mark there, so we'll get rid of that mark. Actually, I wonder if that'll peel off. Let's see whether this peels off easily, because that's got a wrinkle in it. Yeah, it does peel off easily, so you may have to come back. It actually took the mark off. Wonder if it'll take that one off. Well, there we are. There's a little find for you. It didn't take that one off, but it actually took that mark off. That was interesting. I might have one coming half off, and another one maybe up here coming half off, and I'll just I want it there, want it there. I know what I'll do. I'll take that one that way, And then we'll stick the other half up here. There we are, like that. Alright, so now we have a cover. A little bit more interesting. Now there's one coming half off down here, and we've still got the inside. Now I'm not going to cover the whole inside. What I'm going to do is maybe put a big one on the pocket. Now let's cover as much of this pocket. That puts it on further. Cover as much of this pocket as we can. There we are. So we've got that pocket there. So a little bit comes off the edge there. I can fiddle with that a little bit more later when I can get it at a better angle, not under the camera. And we'll cut that bit off there. Now that's quite a big piece, so if you don't want to lose that big piece, you may look at the other side and think, oh, there's none coming half off here, so I might just put that there. It's up to you. Alright, just to add a bit more detail. But that's what I decided to do with that book, rather than just leave it blank, is put some big stickers on it. Now let's look through this book and see what we've actually achieved today. So we've got a lovely vinyl cover, and we've put some stickers on it, and they're actually vinyl stickers, they're not paper stickers. And as I said, if you think that the stickers are going to lift eventually, then glue them down. And we've got a sticker on the inside to show you where the pocket is. I was also thinking what you might want to do is put a dotted edge around, maybe in white, would be another thing you could do, just to give that pocket, define that pocket a little bit more. We have this lovely page, always be yourself, escape the ordinary, dare to be different, and stand out from the crowd. Happy? How I spent my holidays? And hair? Spring? Australian adventure? Hello? Hoot, 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 owls, owls, owls. With brave wings she flies. May your days be filled with sunshine. Tweet, tweet. Now I left that blank. I didn't put the blue in like I said I was going to, because you don't even see the transition from the white napkin to the paper there. So it looks like all that is supposed to be part of the page. So I thought I'd leave it like that, and it gives her some lines to write on if she wants to. And a big blank space to draw on or something. She can maybe finish the scene with something else in it, or put some writing or pictures on it. And there's plenty of pockets in this book too, so that she can add some more things whatever. If you've got an excess of photos and you can't fit them all in, some little notes or things, memorabilia items that you might want to put in a pocket rather than glue on and destroy by gluing it on. Something she wants to be able to take out and maybe use. As you can see, what I did with this was smudged here with white, and I'd smudged that further down there because I got one little smudge on it. So what I've done now is I've drawn flowers and leaves and stems in there, and I've turned those smudges into birds by adding a bit more to them and adding a few more birds around there. Now this one, I added a white line, wiggly line around there. And then there's the back page, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And I've added some of these in on the inside as well, just to make that a little bit prettier. So there's our book, our junk journal for my granddaughter, and I'm hoping that you enjoyed that. It's a junk journal with a purpose, a specific purpose. And I hope she enjoys it too. Now I've got to come up with some other things for the rest of the tribe, I guess. I've put it out there. I'm in trouble now. I've got to come through. You all know how that feels. Can't do it for one and not do it for the rest. So look forward to seeing some more grandchildren presents from me. Hope you had a great time. I hope this was useful, and have a great week. Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this video today, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified of my new videos.